Hey guys! So today I'm going to be talking about my birth story. This is my second child, so my second birth. So this will be a story of no medication or anything like that, just a natural delivery. And I really like my birth story, so I'm happy to share it, and I really want to keep this as a memory for myself, and that's why I'm kind of making this video. So I'm going to go into a bit of a backstory about what happened that day before I start, because it was actually a pretty crazy day and I want to remember this later in the future. So if you don't want to hear about our crazy situation that was going on this day, you can skip to this time here, and that is when I'll start talking about going into labor. Okay, so our car had broken down on my due date, which was so lovely. We lived about 40 minutes away from the hospital, so if we didn't have a car, how are we gonna get to the hospital? Technically my mum could drive us, but that would really suck because she would have to take my daughter there as well and then take her back home. We had been frantically searching for a car, and on this specific day we had found one that we were going to get. And so about 12 p.m. I would say, Lee headed off to Sydney, which was a few hours away from our house, and he went to go pick up the car. And this was a very stressful experience because when he got there, the car had a little bit of damage that they didn't mention. I had also asked them prior, are you guys okay with just doing a bank transfer, because I don't want my husband taking that much money on the train? And they said, yeah, that's fine. So anyways, when he got there, they said, oh, actually we don't want a bank transfer because the money won't come in for 2 days, and how will we know they actually sent it? So Lee was just the only one there, and so he put me on the phone and I had to, like, you know, converse with them, and I hate confrontation, but you know, I just wanted to be safe. So anyways, it was super crazy stressful, but we figured it out in the end. They accepted the bank transfer and they just asked their bank for a receipt up front. So I think it was about 7 p.m. when Lee made it home. So if I had gone into labor only a few hours earlier, this would have been such a disaster. But anyways, he made it home at about 7 p.m. and we quickly registered the car. I had no clue I was going into labor. I hadn't had any symptoms. We quickly registered the car because we didn't have insurance. You know, you can crash and then that's gonna be a disaster. And we took it for a test drive and everything was fine. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going into labor today. I was 40 weeks and 3 days and I didn't feel anything. So I was like, I'm gonna take off my makeup and let's just hop into bed. So about a week prior, by the way, I had also gotten a membrane sweep, and at that point they told me I was already 3 centimeters dilated. And after the membrane sweep, I gradually started losing my mucus plug. So that all happened a week prior, but besides that, I didn't have any symptoms. Anyways, on this night, I was just hopping into bed, and then I had quite a painful contraction. And this one felt a lot different than the rest of them because I couldn't really like move at that moment. I was like this is really painful. So I kind of thought, I think this is it, but I wasn't sure. I'm never sure when I go into labor. I'm like, am I not? I don't know. Because here's the thing, when you have a contraction, it's so painful. And then when it ends, you feel completely normal, like nothing is even happening at all. It feels like any other day. So I waited for a few more, and when I had a few more, I was like, okay, I'm going to the hospital straight away because my first labor was really quick and I didn't want to have a birth in the car. So I already planned that we're just going to leave immediately and we're just going to wait in the car until the contractions are 5 minutes apart, because that's when you can actually go into the hospital in Australia. So I handed over Sage to Mum. It was maybe 9 or 10 p.m. at night at this point. I don't remember, but it's all in our birth video, which I will link down below. But yeah, it was pretty late at night. I handed over Sage to my mom. I was like, hey, I think I'm in labor, but I'm not totally sure. So we're just gonna go to the hospital and we'll see what happens. I might not be. I really didn't think it was gonna be it at this point. So Lee and I hop in the car, we bring all our bags with us, and we're driving to the hospital. And when we get about like 20 minutes through our journey, we're like, I haven't had a contraction in a while. They were about like 20 minutes apart at this point. So I was like, or 10, 15, they were quite far apart. I was like, I haven't had a contraction in a while. I don't think I'm in labor, Lee. Like, I think maybe we should turn around. I feel really bad, but yeah, I don't think I'm in labor. And he was like, okay, well, let's just drive up to the set of traffic lights, and if you don't have a contraction, we'll turn around, but if you do, we'll keep going. And lo and behold, I had a contraction just before we hit the traffic lights. So we decided to keep going. We got to the hospital pretty late, 11 I think, from memory. And we decided to park on the street because the hospital actual car park, it was a pay for parking, and we didn't want to pay just yet. We were gonna pay when I was like heavily in labor. That's when we were gonna park in the car park, but at this point, you know, I wasn't really sure if I was still in labor, so we just decided to park outside. And I really needed to pee. But because of COVID, I knew that when you go into the hospital, you have to put on a face mask and you have to tell the front desk exactly what you're doing there, and they'll sign you in and everything. So I didn't want to go in and be like, hey, I'm in labor, but I'm just gonna wait in my car. Can I just use the bathroom? Because I knew that that's just like such a, I was worried they were gonna be like, no, you should come in. But I was like, still not sure if I'm in labor, so I didn't want to do that, and I just felt bad. I didn't know how to explain myself. So I was like, Lee, let's just go to McDonald's and we'll go into the bathroom and then we'll come back. We headed over to McDonald's. Of course, they're closed. The inside is closed because of COVID. They weren't open at the time. So he just got a coffee and we went back to the hospital. And yes, I made a makeshift bathroom. We'll skip over that part. So when we came back, we drove around to the other side of the hospital and we still parked outside. And I called my midwife and I was like, hey, my contractions are about 10 minutes apart right now. And my first labor was really quick, so maybe I should I go in or should I wait more? And she was like, oh, just wait more. She didn't know that I was already at the hospital. I told her I was still at home. So she was like, oh, just wait more. When they're 5 minutes apart, you know, call me back and I'll come and meet you at the hospital. So I was like, okay, no worries. Thank you. Sorry for calling. And hung up. Basically, as soon as I hung up, my contractions went straight to 5 minutes. So I couldn't call her back immediately. Obviously, I didn't want to be like 10 minutes later, hey, come. So I just waited like an hour while they were 5 minutes apart. And because they were getting quite close together, we did drive into the hospital parking at this point. We just stayed in the car. And I called her back because they were really close. I was like, hey, we're getting pretty close. I think I'm gonna leave now. She was like, okay, I'll meet you there. Then pretty much after I jumped off the phone, they dropped down to about 1 to 3 minutes apart. And at this point, I'd been dealing with them really well. I was really impressed with myself because I remember my first labor, I was like screaming so much. I was in so much pain, writhing on the bed. And, and this time I was just like, don't talk to me. That was my only reaction. So I was handling it really well. But yeah, as they started getting close together, of course they were getting more and more painful, and Lee was like really like, Carla, like just go into the hospital. Why are you still here? Let's go. And I was like, no, I'm not going in yet. I don't know if I'm in labor still. I still feel fine in between. Like, what is happening? I'm so confused. So I'm not going in yet. We just wait until I'm like 1 minute apart and then we'll go in. Because they had dropped really quickly. It was only in a matter of hours. Eventually they got to around like 1 to 2 minutes constantly, and so we decided to walk into the hospital, but we had no clue where we should go. They did explain to us, and I have been to that hospital before, but I had an induction the first time, so I didn't need to find my way around while in labor. So this time I was in labor and it was also COVID, so it was kind of a different scenario. So we walked in and turns out there was no security anyway in there, so I didn't have to sign in or anything, so I totally could have used the bathroom. Just thought, we put on our masks. We headed upstairs because there was nobody downstairs. I mean, all the doors were locked, so we were like, great. So we buzzed on one of them and the lady was like, oh, are you here for labor? Are you giving birth? And I was like, yeah, we don't know where to go. And she was like, okay, go downstairs, take a left, take a right, exit this door, come in this door, take another left, another right, go up the stairs. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, thank you. So we walked back outside the hospital and we had no clue where we're going. Eventually we found it. It was like in the car park. You had to enter from there. And we walked in and I was having contractions all the way through walking to find the birthing room, which was really rough. I had to sit down like every 2 minutes. So I had to, I had like spurts of energy, and then I was like, it was kind of funny. Eventually we found it. We're here, we're getting to the good part. Eventually we found it. I hop onto my little bed. My midwife isn't there yet because I came in a bit earlier. And I was like, hey, can someone check how dilated I am, because I still am not totally sure that I'm in labor. Like, I was having really close contractions, and then I had one that was like 10 minutes apart, so I'm really confused now, and I'm just worried that I'm not in labor. So she was like, okay, well we'll just have to wait a little bit until your midwife gets here and she'll check you. So yeah, we just waited. And then my midwife came, I explained to her the same thing, like, oh, I'm really worried that I'm not in labor. I don't want to call you out here for no reason. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I am. They were really consistent, but then I had a really long gap and I feel like they're not getting more painful. And I also feel totally fine right now. So she checked and she was like, yep, you're, I think 7 or 8 centimeters dilated. So I was like, sweet, awesome. Okay, this is happening. She was like, yeah, you're definitely gonna have a baby within the next few hours. And I was like, yay. So happy that I was actually in labor and I wasn't crazy and it was all about to happen. Okay, so as everything started to heat up, I was like, wow, I'm really happy that I didn't like vomit this time, because I remember last time I was like vomiting so much and I had a fever and it was so bad. But this time I'm like, I mean, the contractions are definitely painful and I'm really hurting here, but I feel okay. But yeah, no, eventually I started to feel it. The pain was pretty intense and the vomit started coming up, and yeah, once again, everywhere, had to change my whole outfit, people had to clean up after me. I felt so bad. Ugh, so sorry. Labor is really messy. It's really messy. I also needed to pee a bunch, so I was like, well, I didn't know if I needed to pee or if it was just like the baby is coming. So I had to go into the bathroom, but then I was like having a contraction in the bathroom and this was really painful. They asked me if I wanted to do like a water bath, because I originally didn't mind hopping in there, but because I knew I was already almost there, I was like, oh, don't worry about it, you know, I'm almost there, we'll just get through this and then we're all good, so don't even worry about it. So Lee and I, like I said, were really proud about my progress here, because I wasn't freaking out at all. I wasn't screaming, I was just like breathing real hard. But no, yeah, that point did come. The screaming part came, and oh boy, was I shocked. I was starting to get really upset because it had been quite some time for me, which is quite short for other people, but I was like, okay, by this point last time, I was already like pushing and baby was already coming out. Like, I know I was 10 centimeters dilated and I still had no urge to push. And I felt uncomfortable to go on my hands and knees, because I just felt like, oh, it's kind of like a weird position, you know, in the movies they're always sitting down, and I wanted to be graceful like that. But she was like, you know what, just go on your hands and knees, because that's a better position for the baby to come out and maybe that'll help. And yeah, no matter how much you force trying to push, you won't push until your body is ready to push. So you will know when the baby is about to come out. There may be a lot of pressure, but if your body is not automatically pushing, you're probably not ready to push out. And you kind of just have to wait for that. The pain was like extremely intense when the contractions were coming. And so when I did start to feel the pushing sensation, it is so agonizingly painful, because you're literally tearing apart. You can imagine what that must feel like. Even imagine your mouth tearing apart, right? Extremely, excruciatingly painful. And so I remember listening to my own screams. I was like, anybody who's hearing this right now would think I'm being absolutely tortured to the max. Like, they would be absolutely terrified listening to my screams. And I remember looking at Lee and he was horrified. He was so worried about me, and he kept trying to grab onto my hand. He kept putting my hand on the bar so I could hold on. He was like, you're doing great, you're doing okay. And I was like, Lee, please don't say anything. I just need to breathe. Anyways, I felt really bad. I felt really bad because it must be really scary to watch. But yeah, they were like, okay, You can't keep screaming because you need to hold your breath. When you push, you have to hold your breath and put all of your energy into pushing. Do not scream, just push. And you also, by the way, you don't just like push and then let go. You're supposed to push in bursts, like push, 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 push. Because it's kind of like, how do I describe it? You know, if you push and then you let go, it gets sucked back in, right? So you have to push in bursts so that it's like coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. Otherwise it would get sucked back in. Baby, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, and ugh, it's just the feeling. The feeling. You can just feel when the baby's head comes out. I could feel that the baby was like near the entrance because it burns like a mother. Burns like a mother. And you can feel when the baby's head comes out. Ah, I remember the feeling exactly, actually. It's really painful. Sorry, I'm like going into my own memory here. And then it's really such a strong relief when you get the body out. Sorry, this sounds so graphic. But it's such a strong relief when you get the body out because it just like, it just really falls out. And anyways, and then they put the baby and I was like, ah, so cute, so lovely. My water didn't break beforehand, by the way. My water only broke when I was actively pushing, and you can really feel it. It just kind of feels like a balloon pops. And I think, I really wish I could remember what happened at those last moments, but I really don't remember. But I just remember looking at Lee and I was like, I love you, and he was like, I love you, you did so well, good job, and he was crying. And I was just so relieved to be finished with all the pain. And luckily this time I didn't need any stitches. I literally lucked out so well. I think all in all it was a 6-hour labor with like 10 minutes of pushing. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that's what it was. The actual pushing doesn't last that long for me, but the moment leading up to that felt like a really long time. And then afterwards it's just like, when you get to have a shower, oh, it's so lovely. It's honestly, I was really shocked because I've forgotten what happens afterwards. Like, obviously you have to go shower afterwards. And I was like really shocked that I could actually just like stand up and walk, because I don't know, I just felt like I would need assistance or a wheelchair or something. But no, I was fine. I could get up and I could walk over there. They also tell you to pee when you first go in there, or like you have to pee, otherwise they're worried that there could be some sort of issue. And also if you pee when you're in the shower, it will stop the burning because you've obviously just kind of torn a little bit. I did tear, but I didn't need stitches. So it's really scary when you have to do that after giving birth, because it does kind of hurt, but you know, you'll be fine. You gotta pee, you gotta do all of those things. Just breathe, it's gonna be okay. And something that people don't really talk about also after giving birth is the contractions that you have afterwards. So usually it comes when you're breastfeeding. You'll have kind of like labor contractions, and that's your uterus shrinking back to normal. Those can be quite painful as well. So labor really doesn't end after you give birth. It kind of continues for like a solid week because you keep getting those contractions, and those can be quite rough. So yeah, anyways, but you'll be fine. If you are going to give birth, you'll be totally fine. Hopefully everything will go really well for you. Just breathe, scream if you want, get medication if you want. I just didn't even think about it this time really, so that's why I didn't get it. But if you want it, go for it. Do whatever you want, do whatever makes you happy. And if you're going to give birth, I wish you the best experience. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to check out our labor vlog, you can check it out. I'll link down below. And yeah, alright. Thank you for watching. Bye. Come on, baby, let me tell you